Hey guys, long time no talk. So, I'm gonna get right into it. I hope that you all have been doing well. My fellow divine feminine, my divine masculine as well. Um, not talking about not my counterpart, my divine masculine, but divine masculine, my brothers, or my sisters, whoever carries it more. Anyways, I want to come on here really quick because I want us to kind of reflect on the year. And when I mean us, I mean me. But hopefully some of this resonates with someone and it's helpful. This year, 2019, has been all about facing wounds, um, healing the inner child, and or even acknowledging it is what I'll say. And it's been a lot of reflection, a lot of things that God has taken away from me, and not in a sense of it being a punishment, but more of it, God is clearing out what's not meant to be in my life, what does not need to be in my life, the things that I've felt comfortable with. And now that they've been cleared away, now that they've been taken out of my life, in the beginning, it was like like, God, I don't want to let go. Like, I'm afraid to let go. I let go of this because it's like, I let go. What if I let go of this and I don't get anything back in return? Kind of like this is the only thing I know type of thing, type of energy, or fear. And again, like I said in the beginning, it was very hard. And it still has there's still moments when I'm just like, okay, God, like, what's going on now? Like, I'm in this state where, sorry, you guys, you're gonna hear some rain and just some noise because I'm driving. Of course, when I drive, it's therapeutic to me, and this is kind of where I get a lot of messages and stuff. But with the stage that I'm in right now, it's like a what next? What's next? What do I do next? What do I do? Where do I put my energy? And I feel that, especially with the divine feminine, because we've been putting in a lot of work, we've been aware of a lot of these things for such a long time. Now we're questioning. Okay, God, am I on the right path? Am I going on a different path? What is it that I'm supposed to do now, type of thing. But I wanted to come on here, number one, to again let you know that I completely understand, because I feel it too. I'm in that stage. But to have discernment, continue to lean on God for strength, for wisdom, for clarity, for comfort. It's my favorite scripture, actually, Proverbs 3, 4, 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And that's so real. Trust God. I saw a post on Facebook, and it said, the tears you cried in 2019 were pretty much watering the seeds that are going to be planted in 2020. And so if you've questioned whether or not the thing that you've been desiring, that you've been hoping for, will come to pass in 2020, trust God that it will. That the things that you see with your physical eye is not what's really going on at stake. The thing is, it even just speaking on experiences, my own personal life, of how God comes through in unexpected ways, and how these things that God does on your behalf are really for your protection. And just how, just changing your perspective about things, I guess is what I'll say. So, I know by experience how, okay, that's what I'll say. I think there's times when, even for me, like what I'm working on is just getting back in touch with my femininity, honoring the feminine, the divine feminine within myself, but also, me being a feminine essence woman, and someone who is striving to be more so. I've, unlike many other women, especially in Western civilization, we are so out of touch because of the messages that are bombarded towards us, the circumstances that a lot of us are in as well, and just being a working woman or whatever area in your life that you may not feel as feminine. I just think more than anything, or I would say it's the wound, it's the weight that we've been carrying as the feminine, as throughout ages. And it's not just, again, Western civilization, it's not just in this time, but it's been a constant battle. It's been a spiritual warfare. But also, this is not to say, we've been through different phases as women, as the feminine, and the different archetypes, which I'll talk a little bit more about too. But I've been through my stage of blaming the masculine. And that definitely is a stage. But what I've come to find is that stage, if you stay, it's because it's natural, you're going to be in that in some time. The issue is when you stay trapped in it. When you don't understand that is also a snare of the enemy. That is the tool to divide and conquer type of thing. And then again, it continues the cycle of blame between the masculine and feminine. Now, with us on this journey, those who are so-called twin flames, divine counterparts, our mission is to clear these karmic programs that have been plaguing us since the beginning of time. You can see the common themes in many different texts. One that is most known, one that it's talked about a lot, especially in the Western civilization, is that of Adam and Eve. And that's just one example, but you'll find this in other cultures too, where they talk about the masculine and feminine and how it's been a constant power struggle. Who's more powerful? Who was first? Those types of things. But in the end, you find that the theme is that, or I would say this, that it was prophesied that this would be a thing, that this will go on for ages, and it has been going on for ages. Eons. And if you look up into, me, I'm into history and just people call it mythological stuff, but there's a lot of truth in some of these things as well. But like looking into excuse me. Lemuria, Atlantis, Andromedon, these different civilizations over time, where one was heavily masculine dominant, and then there was another that was feminine, more dominant and feminine, but there was no balance. And so basically, again, the what we're here to do is to honor both masculine and feminine within ourselves, first and foremost, and also with our counterparts. And it's been a challenge. It's truly been a challenge, because you get stuck or bombarded with, again, these messages, and then you hear these things with the Me Too movement, and like everything is so many things are being exposed right now, and there's different agendas and different, it's so much. But with all that being said, you have to be mindful not to get sucked into that, and to realize what this really is. I believe, and again, like I said, not only just with what I've seen, but with my own experience with my counterpart, I feel that I'm so much stronger, that we're in this stage of quote unquote separation, and I've had to let him go again. But in the beginning, it was hard. In the beginning, it was hard, because it's like, all right, God, like, I've done this so many times, and you keep asking me to let go of him, and then you put him back in my life, or whatever the case may be. We come in and check on each other and stuff like that. But I think more than anything is that I've learned that while my flesh and my ego, while I want my counterpart with me right now in the flesh, like I want to, I want to be with my masculine. I want to be with my man, That's definitely a thing, and I'm not going to negate that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to act like that's not a thing. That is my humanity. I want to be with my beloved. But I also know that where he is right now, like, me letting him go is mainly because I realized I deserve better, and that he is not at the place right now to give me what I want. And I'm going to clarify that, because being the feminine, a lot of times we've been the first to reach out, been the first to hold, like, pretty much, again, carrying the weight type of thing. I've also had dreams of, like, me being like a mother figure to him, So it's like a mother who is taking care of this child, and you raise and you nurture him, and you do everything you can for this child. And you love him so much, so you want him to be successful. But the issue becomes that you start to enable him, and you don't let him learn. And that's what I've done. So I've realized that in the beginning, this is kind of where, like, I hope I can articulate this in the right way. When it comes to that message, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's kind of the same thing with the masculine and feminine. Who came first type of thing. And, that's something that's always been a debate, whatever the case may be. But more of it is just realizing that mother and father is important. Mother and father has a role. And now it's time for mother and father to step into their power, to step into their roles. And so with me, quote unquote, raising my divine masculine, nurturing him, loving him, now it's time for me to let go and let God, honestly. And yes, it's confusing, because it's like, okay, God, what's the next step? What do I do now? I think about Mother Mary, and how, her, number one, being instructed, being commanded to, or being prophesied that she would give birth to a son, to the Son of God. And just the different things that, she knew that there were attacks going to be coming up against her and her son. But she was obedient, and she was commanded to love and nurture him. And she did. And when God would give her instructions, and Joseph, which, again, divine masculine, he was also given instructions, being a leader, to protect the family. He did. Of course, in the beginning, it was like, what? Like, I don't know what I'm doing type of thing. Like, what is this? God, what you asking me to do? But he did. And with all that being said, Mother Mary knows our pain. And that's why even, in the Bible, Jesus talks about Mother Mary being our mother. And you can look up Lady of Guadalupe, Black Madonna, just Mother Mary in general. I would say the archetype, but also just in history and different cultures, how that's also translated. But Mother Mary being our mother. because she was the mother of God, rightfully so, with being, Jesus as her son. So anyways, where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So raising him, nurturing him, protecting him the best way that she knew how, but also trusting in God. She also had to go through a time where she had to let him go. And again, the pain that a mother must feel when she's nurtured and she's put all that she knew into her child. And now there's a phase where it's like, okay, he's growing up now. And so now, mommy, you have to back off. You continue to love him. You continue to be there for him, continue to support him. But now you have to let him go through what he needs to go through. And that's basically where I'm at with my masculine. And also for me to trust God that, hey, you've commanded me to love this man, to pray for this man, to show unconditional love to this man. And he's done, honestly, my masculine as well has initiated a lot of things within myself. And how I've learned how even with the feminine, we can get so into being a caretaker, a nurturer for other people that we forget ourselves in the process. And so that's also where I'm at now, where it's like, hey, all this energy that you were putting into your masculine, all this energy that you're putting into whatever else outside of you, you need to make sure you're doing the same thing for yourself. That does not mean that you completely negate other people around you. That doesn't mean that you go to the opposite extreme and now you're selfish, which I've been through that myself. But it does mean that the things that you are looking for from other people, the validation, the love that you are trying to seek from other people, that you are desiring from other people, you are capable of giving that to yourself because you are it. You are love. And I feel, God and God's presence is always with us. Holy Spirit is always with us. God's love is always with us. And because we're made in the image, we are also able to do that for other people. So this love that you have for your divine masculine, for your divine feminine, if there's divine masculine listening to this, keep that in your heart. Continue to cherish that, because that's a gift that God has given us to be able to give to other people, but also for us to experience, and for us to have like a tangible, more concrete way of understanding God's love for us. And it's really something to cherish. This journey is not a curse. It's not a punishment. Although sometimes it can feel like that, but mainly that's our ego, that's our flesh, because we're like, oh God, I don't know what's going on, type of thing. But continue to trust that, again, all these tears we've cried, all these things that we've been commanded to do, all this love that we've poured out, to other people, that we're also deserving of that as well. And going back to kind of clarify about with my masculine, I said that right now he's not in that space to give that to me. I realized that he also, again, he has his own inner child healing to go through. He has his own wounds to heal, and he has his own path again. So it's like, he is a grown-up. He is a man. It's a scripture, and they talked about the man-child as well. But he is like, how Jesus went through, like even in the Bible, it has a certain time span where Jesus is not mentioned, or we don't really know, or it's not really highlighted what he went through all those years. But then he came back stronger, and just different things. So he had to learn certain things, the gifts that God had already given him, the things that were already inside of him. He had to mature, and he had to be strengthened by the Father. And that's the same thing with our masculine, where it's like, we're here to follow the way of Yeshua, who we call in the English language Jesus Christ. We're here to follow the way, and Mary Magdalene was also with him. And we're to follow that. So It's like we're the offspring. We're, bloodline, and we're here to learn how to, number one, seek first the kingdom of God, above everything and anything, above anyone. Making sure we're obedient, listening, but also learning about God's love, and also being an example of that in this world. And again, like I said, there's so many things, so many messages that we hear, things that we see on the media that can sometimes be disheartening, but we have to be very mindful of what we're allowing in, and then also learning how to transmute that. And that's something that I'm working on. It's something that other people, again, all of us on this journey. And there are some people who are not, quote unquote, twin flames, who, again, like, I don't really care for the label. I'm gonna just be real. But there are some who are not twin flames, who are still working, who are, quote unquote, light workers. Like, we all have different paths. So anyways, that was just kind of a side note. But that's all to say, nobody's path, it's like nobody is more special than the next person. We're all God's children. And so we need to really be mindful of what we're putting out into the world and how we're communicating that to other people. And that's, again, something that I've learned over the years as well. But going back with I keep saying that, and I keep kind of going all over the place. My masculine, if I don't learn to let him go through his things by himself, because the phase that he's in, he does not need me. And I would say this, he does not need me in the way that I used to show up. Just like in the beginning, kind of how that thing with the whole, who came first, chicken or the egg, my masculine, he was actually the first person. He was the one who initiated things, because when we were younger, it was like the way he looked at me. And again, me being as young as I was, it was hard to articulate what that felt like in that moment. But I know my soul felt it. And it felt like he saw me as who I truly am, my soul. And I felt really loved. I felt that the way he looked at me was the love of from the Father, honestly, from God. Someone who adored me, someone who cherished me, someone who saw me for who I was, and not the shell, the persona that I took on to protect myself. My masculine was very patient with me, even in my ugliness. And I'm trying not to get so emotional about it, but I think about this, and I think again how I'm so thankful to God that he blessed me with this journey, because these are the things that I've learned, and these are things I can lean back on when I start to feel like, okay, God, I don't know what's going on. And I don't know, like, am I crazy? Am I, whatever the case may be, whatever our mind starts to come up with, but you're not crazy. Yeah, in the beginning, again, like I said, younger, that was what I felt. And, my attitude and just different things that were typically a turnoff for other people, or typically a thing like, okay, like, we're not gonna mess with her, we're not even gonna talk to her, we're not gonna pursue her. That did not stop my masculine. And so that was what kind of sparked something in me, like, okay, this is different. This is really different, God, and I don't know what this is. But again, just over the years, it's been a kind of like an exchange. Has been a constant deal where my masculine is supporting me in a way that I really need him to, even though I don't necessarily communicate it, or I don't know that I need to be supported in that way, and vice versa. I've been a support system for my masculine, and so I realize again that that's still a thing, but it just looks different, because now we're growing, we're more mature, we're no longer children. We've been in this journey for a while now, and now what God, and I believe also as well for other feminine out there, the way God is wanting us to continue to support and love is to continue to pray for our masculine, continue to give him over to the Most High, continue to protect him in the way where we love him, or them, divine masculine, and we send love, we have compassion for them, but that we also don't enable them, and that we don't put our lives on hold. And that's real. Like the divine feminine, like we've put our lives on hold for too long. And now it's time for us to step into our power. It's time for us to start manifesting. It's time for us to start claiming what is ours. And not be in the victimhood mode, not be in that mode where it's like, okay, well, God, all these people that I put my love and energy into, they're no longer around me. So what do I do? God is like, hey, put that into yourself. Start creating, giving birth to new ideas, new projects. Again, self-love, self-care. Get in touch. Like, you are not just a mother. You are not just a wife. You are not just someone's sister. You are not just someone's daughter. You are a person. You are a gifted being, human being. You are a human being that God has gifted certain gifts in, spiritual gifts, certain talents, natural talents. Start diving into that. Start putting your energy into all of that, and then you trust God and you let God work everything else for you. Seriously. And I feel so hype about this because, like I said, I'm going through this myself, but I want to encourage other divine feminine who are going through this as well. Do not be discouraged. God has you. God has your best interest. God loves you more than anyone else could ever love you. You are loved. You are cherished. The love that you are waiting, or I wouldn't not say waiting. The love that you are desiring to have from another human being, from your counterpart, it already is. You are already loved. Your counterpart loves you, and you love your counterpart. So let him go through what he needs to go through. And again, trust God. Have faith. That's another thing with the feminine, and just with the power that God has given us, the gift of, intuition, the faith, in what is faith, not having faith in what's seen, but what's in the unseen. And again, just trusting that, God said it would be, so it will be. And you let Father deal with it. So anyways, what I've been doing lately, and why I feel that I feel like I've gotten so much better at articulating certain ideas, certain things, and this peace that I feel is because of, again, being able to reflect on how God has been there with me in the past, and how many times I've made mistakes, many times I've fallen short, but God's love has never faltered. There have been consequences for sure, but there's been so much grace and so much mercy. And so don't get trapped into perfectionism, and don't get trapped into, well, they say that, like in the feminine school or the feminine way of life, like you have to do X, Y, Z, whatever the case may be. And if you're not doing these things, then you're not going to get blessed. That's a trap too. But with all that being said, I would definitely encourage you all to read text, like really learn about Mother Mary, honestly. And again, like I said, different stories from different times, like seeing from her perspective. And again, how Mother Mary is all of our mothers, is our mother. But also read about Mary Magdalene. Read about other women prophetess, who, throughout history were asked to do challenging things, who had challenging missions, who went against the status quo. None of this is new. None of these things are new. Now, of course, we know that we live in a system, in a society, in a world where the feminine has been hidden. The feminine is mysterious, and the feminine has not been honored. But our role, our job, is to honor the feminine. Honor the feminine within yourself. Honor yourself as a feminine, but also honor other feminines, both in your life, in your personal life, in the feminine through history, and what our foremothers have done for us. And not in a sense where we are saying, oh, well, the feminine is better than the masculine. And because that still goes back to that whole blame thing and the whole power struggle and that Jezebel spirit, which is another thing that's very rampant. We're not trying to do that. Sis, you're not welcome over here. Jezebel spirit, she's not welcome over here. We are the divine feminine, you know. And as divine feminine, we also honor our divine masculine. We love our divine masculine and we cherish them for who they are. And we continue to pray for them because we need them to be in their rightful places. But in order for them to be in their rightful places, us as the divine feminine, again, like I said, we can nurture them, we can love them, we can be their security blanket, like their protection, just like they've been for us. But we cannot teach them how to be a divine masculine. That is up to the Most High. Just like they can't teach us how to be divine feminine. That is what the mother does. The Most High does that. So anyways, this went on longer than I planned. If you were listening, I truly appreciate it because your girl, like, I've been gone for a while. But I wanted to share this because, again, we're about to go into a new year, 2020. Bless up. And I'm excited. I'm truly excited because I want us to start to challenge one another, to start speaking life into our situations. If we are not happy with what our lives look like, the things in our life, we have power to speak life into it. That's another thing with divine feminine, but I was also say with women biologically. Something else that I would encourage you all to do is look into like the biological differences and just science. Excuse me. But it talks a lot about how women, like, we have the gift of gab, right? We speak more, like our vocabulary. And again, it's not a thing where it's better or worse than men. Like, it's nothing like that. It's just highlighting our strengths. Just like with men, they have strengths in other areas, you know. But we're to complement one another. We're supposed to use these things to help one another to give birth, right? It takes the masculine and feminine to give birth to something. Both, again, in the laws of nature, but also in the physical, right? Which, again, is the laws of nature. Anyways, so yeah, like, biologically, again, women in the gift of gab, the amount of vocabulary we have, our words are so powerful. Our words are so powerful that it has, again, the power to build someone up, to build one up, to build a house, or the powers to tear one down, which is also talked about in Proverbs, talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. And again, that's just an example. But these things, again, they're here. They are talked about, but it has not been highlighted by those in this world because, again, the feminine has been hidden. But now it's time, again, for us, especially the feminine, to do that. And now we put some, we tell them put some respect on our name, put some respect on the mother, on the feminine, but not in a way where it's a battle between the man and woman, masculine and feminine. But yeah, so praying over your counterpart, your masculine, and also calling out what you already have. Claiming what God has for you, and just see how it comes to be, and just be like, all right, God, I got you. You got me, really. God, you have me, and I'm thankful. I'm so very thankful for you and what you are doing in my life, and I cherish you. And again, just having that dialogue, that conversation with God, understanding that you are a child of the Most High, and that God has pure intentions for you, plans to prosper you and not to fail you, not to harm you. So yeah, walk in that knowing that you are taken care of, that you are loved, that you are desired, that You are a princess. You are a queen, honey. You are a child of the Most High. And just like you, if you are a parent in this life right now, or even if you're not necessarily a parent to a child, if you have a project, right? Something that you are nurturing or taking care of, you're a parent in that sense. And just like you would protect that thing at all costs, that's the same thing that the Most High does for us. So, anyways, longer than what I thought it would be. But, like, if you feel like you're going to get a message out of this, or if you're led to this, I just pray that whoever hears this, that they are blessed by it. And again, most importantly, like, I'm not someone who has more knowledge than somebody else. This is all from the Most High. And just so seek God. That's really it. That's it. That's all we need, really. So, anyways, I'm done. Namaste.